Ever wonder why the world runs on greenbacks? From your morning coffee to international trade deals, the US dollar is everywhere. But how did this piece of paper become the undisputed king of global finance? It's a story of ambition, war, and a brilliant, almost audacious plan that reshaped the world economy. Let's rewind the clock and uncover the incredible journey of the US dollar. Before the dollar, there was chaos. Imagine trying to buy groceries, but the store only accepts Spanish silver coins, while your boss pays you in English pounds and your landlord wants French francs. That was the reality in colonial America. Each of the 13 colonies had its own currency alongside a mishmash of foreign coins. Trade was a nightmare. The Founding Fathers knew this couldn't last. They needed a unified, stable currency to knit the new nation together. Enter Alexander Hamilton, America's first Secretary of the Treasury and the mastermind behind our modern financial system. In 1792, he championed the Coinage Act. This groundbreaking law established the United States Mint and, for the first time, created the US dollar. Its value was pegged to both silver and gold, a system called bimetallism. This gave the new currency credibility. People could literally walk into a bank and exchange their paper dollars for a specific amount of precious metal. This wasn't just paper. It was a promise backed by something real and tangible. For the next century, the dollar grew up alongside the nation. It fueled westward expansion, survived the Civil War with the introduction of greenbacks, and financed the Industrial Revolution. But its big break on the world stage was yet to come. The real game changer was a conflict that ravaged the old powers of Europe and created a vacuum at the top of the financial world, World War I. As Europe descended into the trenches, its economies crumbled. Countries drained their gold reserves to pay for tanks, guns, and soldiers. They printed money like there was no tomorrow, causing massive inflation and destroying faith in their currencies. Meanwhile, America, separated by an ocean, became the world's factory and banker. We supplied the Allies with everything they needed, and they paid us, often in gold. By the end of the war, a huge portion of the world's gold had flowed into American vaults. The British pound, the reigning global currency for over a century, was on its knees. The stage was set for a new financial king. The final act in the dollar-esque coronation happened in a quiet New Hampshire resort town in 1944, with World War II nearing its end. Leaders from 44 Allied nations gathered at Bretton Woods. Their goal was to create a new, stable, international economic order to prevent the kind of chaos that had led to 2 world wars. The world needed a reliable anchor, a currency everyone could trust. With its immense economic power and vast gold reserves, the United States was the only candidate. The Bretton Woods Agreement was revolutionary. It established the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, but its centerpiece was a new system. Other countries would peg their currency's value to the US dollar. And the US dollar, in turn, would be pegged to gold at a fixed rate of $35 per ounce. This made the dollar as good as gold. For international trade, every other currency was now linked to the dollar. If a French company wanted to buy oil from Saudi Arabia, they'd first convert their francs into dollars to make the purchase. The dollar had officially become the world's reserve currency. This new system, often called the gold dollar standard, ushered in an era of unprecedented global prosperity known as the post-war economic boom. International trade flourished under the stability provided by the dollar. America, as the issuer of the world's currency, found itself in an incredibly powerful position. It could print money to pay for its imports and foreign investments, a privilege no other country had. This is often called exorbitant privilege. For nearly 3 decades, the Bretton Woods system worked, cementing the dollar's dominance. But by the late 1960s, the system started to show cracks. The cost of the Vietnam War and domestic social programs led the US to print more dollars than it had gold to back them up. Other countries grew nervous. They saw the US running large deficits and started to question if the promise of $35 for an ounce of gold could still be kept. Nations like France began demanding gold for their dollars, draining US reserves. The dam was about to break. In 1971, President Richard Nixon made a shocking announcement that sent tremors through the global financial system. He unilaterally cancelled the direct convertibility of the US dollar to gold. This event, known as the Nixon shock, effectively ended the Bretton Woods system. The world's currencies were now floating, their values determined by supply and demand in the open market. Many predicted the dollar's reign would end. They were wrong. What happened next was perhaps the most brilliant move in the dollar's history. The US government struck a deal with Saudi Arabia, the world's largest oil producer. The deal was simple. The US would provide military protection, and in return, Saudi Arabia would price all its oil sales exclusively in US dollars and invest its surplus oil profits back into US government bonds. Other OPEC nations soon followed suit. This created the petrodollar system. Since every country needs oil, every country now needed US dollars to buy it. This masterstroke created a massive, permanent global demand for the dollar, completely independent of gold. The dollar wasn't just the world's reserve currency. It was now the world's oil currency. And that brings us to today. From its humble beginnings as a solution to colonial currency chaos, the US dollar has navigated wars, economic crises, and strategic masterstrokes to become the bedrock of the global economy. Its journey is a testament to strategic foresight and the shifting tides of history. While challenges from other currencies are emerging, the dollar's deep-rooted network in global trade and finance ensures its story is far from over. Thank you so much for watching this deep dive into the history of the dollar. If you found this fascinating, please hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories about how our world works. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.